Welcome to the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. I'm your host, Robin L. Owens, PhD, and this is where we dive in each week to give advice, tools, and tips for high-achieving women leaders, and we talk about leadership purpose and its importance for you. I am a college professor, and when I am not doing that, I am speaking, writing, coaching, mentoring, and teaching high-achieving women leaders how to find, and not only find, but how to stay in alignment with their leadership purpose so they can make a meaningful difference right there in their career, leadership, or business. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Leadership Purpose with Dr. Robin podcast. I'm so glad you're here and so glad you take time out of your busy day and your busy schedule to listen into the podcast. I appreciate you for listening in, and I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you. So thank you. And today I am talking with Jill Hunter. Jill Hunter, and these are her initials after her name, RPH MBA. So we'll probably hear more about that later. But let me tell you a little bit about Jill. She spent the first 25 years working as a pharmacist in various healthcare settings where top producers were promoted to management. But the managers focused on the numbers, creating a culture where everyone feared for their job. When Jill had the opportunity to be a director of pharmacy, she led her team with empathy, not numbers, and it worked. Now Jill coaches professionals how to do the same, eliminating fear management from businesses. Her mission is to make every company a place where everyone wants to come to work every day, where people thrive and they feel appreciated, valued, and supported. Jill also speaks to organizations and corporations on leadership and career development. And in her individual coaching with businesses, she helps leaders connect with deeper levels with their teams. And she also helps people discover new directions in their careers by unleashing their hidden talents and so much more. Welcome, Jill Hunter.
Thank you, Robin. This is great to be here and finally get to do this.
Yeah.
We've known each other for a long time, and it's fun to finally get on the mic with you.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. I'm really excited about this. So let's jump right in. Now, you heard the bio, I just read a bit of your introduction, but tell everyone a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So I'm a leadership coach because I watched so many people get promoted into management who weren't necessarily cut out for management, weren't necessarily saying, I want to be a leader. They were promoted because of their skills in other areas. And I watched them struggle and fail in the leadership roles. And at first I'm like, well, darn, they picked the wrong person. That isn't very good. Then my empathy kicked in and I'm like, this isn't fair. I'm judging and I should not judge. I should reach out. I know better ways to lead people. I have experience in leadership. Maybe I should help them. And if you help them figure out how to lead people, it's a win-win. They succeed, the people below them are happy, and it's a better place to work. So that's when I started, you know what, maybe I should be doing this for a living as opposed to going out and being a leader myself, which I love doing. I love operations and I love managing people, but I can touch more lives this way. If I touch one leader, they have 15, 20 direct reports. I'm making 25 lives better as opposed to just the team that was below me.
Yes, that makes so much sense. So you were the director of pharmacy when you had this sort of understanding?
Yes. I came into an environment, the manager before me, the director of pharmacy before me, managed by fear. We had all female technicians at this point, had a male pharmacist, but the female technicians, it was a dog-eat-dog environment. They were competitive with each other. They were not supportive and trying to tear each other down. Not a healthy work environment. I came in and said, whoa, this is not good. We were also we had the dream hours, 7:30 to 4, one shift in a pharmacy, no weekends, no holidays. Perfect job. At the end of my first week, we were leaving between 6 and 7 each night. Thinking, this is nuts. Asked one of the technicians on Friday night, I said, hey, how long has this been going on where you're working mandatory overtime? She said, about 6 months now. okay, this is not sustainable. I had not planned on making changes. When you first take a new leadership role in a new company, I don't like coming in and changing things right away. But
Mhm.
at that moment, I said, I need to make some changes. And I did. So the next week, I put a program in place where I rotated everyone through being a lead technician for the week. And that created people to think ahead, walk in someone else's shoes, literally, where for a whole week they're in charge. And we started to see what practices worked and which ones didn't. And they went through a rotation. So each technician had to do this week in and week out. And at the end of the week, I asked for feedback. And I said, at the end of the week, give me 3 things that worked well this week and 1 thing that did not, so that we could, kind of build on things. And it was sent privately to me so that they couldn't see what other people were saying about them and their leadership style. But it started to bring the team together. They started to see which ideas were working. And within 45 days, we were leaving between 4:30 and 5 every day.
Wow.
So I didn't think it was possible to turn it around that quickly. But I had technicians say to me, is this the first time in my career I feel like it's safe to be a human? And it's okay that I have a doctor's appointment. I don't feel like I'm bad because I need to leave early to go to an annual checkup appointment.
Yes. Wow. Wow. What a complete change in the work environment just from taking the time and the initiative to find out what was working and what was not working. That was brilliant. That was a brilliant idea. And so now you're helping organizations and individuals with this sort of leadership approach. Uh,
Yes.
and so tell us what you most enjoy about doing the work you're doing now. Like when you think about it, what really lights you up?
I had an example this week. One of my leadership clients, we were going through my care leadership model, and we got to the point where I showed a graphic about your comfort zone and how, in order to get into your growth zone, you need to move out of your comfort zone, go through that fear zone, through the learning zone, and then into the growth zone. And she's been working with me for, I guess, a year now. She started working with me at the end of January. So she landed a new job in May. And she said the first 3 months in that job, she was out of her comfort zone in a new industry, a new job. And seeing the graphic, it clicked. Like, oh, I've been forced out of my comfort zone for months now. She's finally learning. She's feeling a little more comfortable getting there. But then when she saw that the growth zone was the next thing, she's like, oh my gosh, next year could be so awesome because then I can dream big and I start to live again. And we had a session at 10 a.m. She sent me an email at 11:15 that night. And she's like, Jill, I am so excited about this idea that I can move into my growth zone next year that I just had to let you know. And thank you for that. It's moments like that where I have a breakthrough with a client that it just lights me up.
Yeah.
Like I'm still smiling about it today.
And now I'm smiling about it. And maybe some of our listeners right now are smiling about it to just hear the excitement of someone who basically had a real life transformation right there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, as I mentioned earlier, before we started the conversation here, I created this podcast for what I call high achieving women, women who are ambitious, goal oriented professionals, leaders, maybe in official leadership roles or unofficial leadership roles. But either way, I consider them high achieving. And they're doing all the things, right? They're supporting everyone else. They're the responsible ones because they're naturally in these leadership roles or take on leadership, just kind of day to day activities. So now, based on your experience and all that you've gone through, your expertise, what's some word of advice or a lesson you learned in your experience that you'd like to share with the type of woman that I just described?
So women in corporate America, because that's where my focus is typically corporate America. Women tend to succeed by personifying masculinity. They ignore the fact that they have children. They hide the fact that they have children. They dress in business suits with pants. I'm guilty. I did this all through my career. I would rarely wear dresses and skirts because that was too feminine. So I would wear a pantsuit when I needed to dress up. The other thing that women don't do is when you're in not the boardroom, but in a conference and it's a male dominated room, just being afraid to bring the human part. And women are so, well, I don't want to say that. I'm afraid to bring up this topic or broach this topic when that's why we're there. Women have risen through the ranks because we bring humanity and kindness and empathy to the workplace. And right now, the workplace has become so we're robotic. We're expecting people to act like machines. And that comes from the Industrial Revolution. We are humans now doing the work of machines, but we need to be treated like humans. And we need to bring that human connection back to work. And I think it's us women that have made it to the higher ranks in companies that need to start bringing that humanity back into the workplace. And whether that be commenting on another female's outfit, like the old fashioned way we used to connect, like, hey, I love that outfit. Where'd you get it? And those type of conversations don't happen in the boardrooms because it's considered too catty or too feminine. But you know what? There's some connection part. Women are great connectors, and we're also great multitaskers. Any woman who's running a household, they have to make sure they have the food in the house. They have to make sure it's clean. They have to make sure that everyone's got lunches and there's enough supplies. They're constantly multitasking. We'll take advantage of that at work and multitask and be the connector and pull everyone together.
Yes, yes. Be the connector, be the connector. And yeah, it seems like something that is easy to do that we may have lost sight of, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
just having those connecting conversations. All right.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, my work is all about leadership purpose, of course, because it's the title of the podcast. But when you hear the term leadership purpose, what comes to your mind?
Leadership purpose to me, when I was thinking about it, is why are you the right person to lead this team right now? A lot of my clients are in these leadership positions and they're doubting themselves. They're having imposter syndrome. Very common, especially for high achieving people. Imposter syndrome is real, it comes up. And if you go back to leadership purpose, if you start to think about you're unique, you're in this situation for a reason, they hired you versus other people for this particular position. So, what is it, that hidden meaning of why you're here? It kind of getting into the deeper side of you are the right person for this role right now, but you have to figure out what that is and you have to believe it. And it might be different for every job you have. I don't believe that a leader has a sole purpose that they will take to every job. I believe that there are certain times that are going to tap us to learn how to build a team better. There's going to be other times when we need to learn how to develop people or hire people. Right now, it's a struggle to hire people, honestly. It's a point in time when people are really being picky about what companies they want to work for. So as leaders, we have to make our companies be appealing and make people want to work for us.
Yes, yes, it is a time where there's a lot of movement, and I could see your point about the strength that will come from kind of having a specific purpose. And like you, I agree with this notion that sort of your purpose changes because there's certain kind of activities that might fall in the area of your leadership purpose. So now, do you think leadership purpose is important? Either way, why or why not?
I think it's very important. To me, you get hired at a company, a lot of companies, not all, but a lot of companies you get hired and they're like, we need you to produce X number of widgets per day, per month, per year, and push them out the door so we can bring money back in. And they look at the function of what the company does and say, well, you're a leader, you need to produce this. To me, leadership purpose is developing people, not manufacturing widgets. So if you go through and develop your people and give them the purpose of, okay, we all get paid when the widgets go out the door, and you task them with figuring out the best way to make the widgets and get them out the door, then you are doing your leadership purpose. But if you are concerned yourself about how many widgets are going out the door and the numbers coming in, then all you're doing is managing the numbers and you're ignoring the people. So I think that leadership purpose is extremely important. Otherwise, it would just be a manager.
Yes, I really appreciate your emphasis on always connecting and being empathetic to people and everything that you teach and your methods all related to kind of lifting up people. And I don't think we can get enough of that. I don't think we can get enough of that. So I appreciate that approach. Is there anything else you want to say as we come to the end of our conversation before we tell people how they can get in touch with you? Anything that you wish you could have said that you didn't get a chance to say yet?
So the one thing that I'd like to say is I looked back after being director of pharmacy and said, why was I successful? Because people kept asking me, like, you are way more successful than the person before you. People love working for you. Why? And when I came down to figuring out why, is what I figured out is I communicate honestly. I tell them what I know, what I don't know. And that develops a little bit of trust with people. I also attentively listen to what they have to say. And sometimes they're just yakking and they're pissed off and I let it go. And sometimes there's an underlying meaning to what they're saying and I have to dig in and figure that out and solve the problem for them. The other thing I do is I reassure employees impartially that they are part of the team. They are valuable. They may not be the team lead, but not everyone can be the team lead. There's a lot of other really important roles in the company, and I want to make sure that they know that they're valued for what they bring to the table each day. And the last part is the empathizing deeply with them and making sure that when something goes wrong in their life, that they feel comfortable coming to me and saying it's okay. So that's where I developed my care leadership model is putting that together. And that's the basis for all of the training that I do, is getting people to figure out how to build the trust, how to build a team. Once you get a trust with an individual, how do you find the strengths of all of your team members, pull it together so that you're stronger as a team than you are as a bunch of individuals, and then get a high functioning team in place and working. I do know that a lot of people if you're a leader right now, you have people on your team who can give you more in the 8 hours that they give you each day. They can give you more effort if you can tap into that connection and trust and having them feel valued and supported. And they've probably got another 15 to 20% in their tank that they don't feel like they're holding back, but they will give you so much more if you connect on a deeper level with them.
Yes, it goes a long way. Yes, that's a awesome approach, your care leadership model. And so if people want to hear more about your care leadership model or you, or how to get in touch with you to follow you or hear more about your work, how can they do that?
So I have a Facebook group called Lead with Empathy. They can join my Facebook group. They can follow me on LinkedIn. I actively post there every day. It's Jill with the middle initial C, Hunter, because it's a common name. And they can also book a one-on-one call with me at the bit.ly link /Zoom Jill. The other way is to go to my website, which is upleveltolead.com.
Great. So many ways to get in touch with you, and we'll make sure we put those in the show notes so people can have that. Jill Hunter, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your wisdom and your care leadership model. I'm sure it's helping people right now. Appreciate you for being here and taking time out of your busy day.
Thank you for having me. This is a great conversation.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Okay, everyone. If you want to know more about me, you can reach me on my website, robinlowens.com, or you can reach me on LinkedIn, Robin L. Owens, PhD, Robin L. Owens, PhD. And if you're wondering about your own leadership purpose and how closely you're following it, there's a quiz on my website, robinlowens.com, right there on the front page. Go in, take the 5-minute quiz, and you'll know how closely you're following your leadership purpose. All right, until next time, this is Dr. Robin. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Leadership Purpose with Robin podcast. If you enjoyed it, Head on over and rate and subscribe so you never miss an episode. New episodes drop every week, and I can't wait to hang out with you again soon. Meanwhile, this is Robin signing off. See you next time.